Welcome to Edpuzzle 6. So for this Edpuzzle, we're going to be doing an introduction to sculpture. So before we get started, we're going to do a quick brain dump. So in the space provided, it's going to pause. I want you to list anything that you know about sculpture. You can share anything you want. I'm not looking for correct answers, just your best guesses, any assumptions you have, insight, examples, thoughts, anything that you can think of to share. Avoid writing, I don't know. That is the only rule. Pause here. Sculpture. Sculpture is a three-dimensional art form. This means that sculptures have height, length, and width. You may know examples of famous sculptures, such as the Statue of Liberty or Fearless Girl, both in New York City. These are both sculptures in which you can walk all the way around them, so they have height, width, and depth. Sculptures fall into three categories: carved, modeled, assembled. They can be made out of stone, wood, clay, or any other material that the artist wants to use. Carved sculptures are sculptures that have been created by removing or carving away material. They can either be freestanding, like the example below, in which the artist is carving out a little wolf from a piece of wood, or a relief sculpture. And the best example of a relief sculpture are the coins that are in your pocket. So if you run your fingers over the top of them, you can feel that some of the surface is raised. And that's because that it was carved around those. If you're looking at the example, you'll see the bald eagle. It was carved around the bald eagle so that it raises out, but it's still attached to that backing, that background. So freestanding, that you can walk all the way around them. They're not attached to anything. And then relief sculptures, such as coins, they're still attached to a surface. The second category of sculptures is modeled. So modeled sculptures are sculptures that have been created by adding material. So carved is taking away and modeled is adding. So one example of this is Kara Walker's 2019 Fons Americanus fountain, with figures and animals entirely molded from clay. So you can see a close-up image of a boat and then from far away. Another example of this could be the claymation figures from the cult classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas. You can see them being modeled here with clay. So they're adding on the clay and they're modeling it and molding it. And a final example, and one of my personal favorites, is Dale Chihuly, and he makes his work out of glass. So he actually melts it and stretches it and adds it together to create these either freestanding, hanging sculptures that are entirely made out of colorful glass. And they're really, really big. So up close, or in the photo, they might not look it, but in person, they are like 2 stories high. They're massive. And then the third type is assembled. Assembled sculptures are sculptures that are created by putting pieces together. One example of this is Gravity by Ellen Itsui, or Gravity in Space, by Ellen Itsui. And these elaborate hung pieces are crafted from thousands of tiny pieces of metal that have been bent and woven tightly together with extreme precision. So from far away, it kind of just looks like a very, very sparkly blanket. But as you get closer, you'll notice that these are actually all bottle caps that have been sewn together and bent to work together as one woven piece. So in summary, you're going to have carved, which are sculptures that have been created by removing or carving away material. Modeled sculptures, which have been created by adding material. And assembled, sculptures that are created by putting pieces together. So time to see what you know. Once you've completed this Edpuzzle, you will be placed into small groups. In your small groups, you'll be responsible for categorizing a number of sculpture pieces into the correct categories based on what type of sculpture they are, so either carved, molded, or assembled. Your group may use all of the same answers, but you must individually post your own assignment in Schoology for credit.